Hello, and welcome to the Lucidus podcast, where we explore everything because everything is connected to everything else, and because there's practically nothing I don't enjoy exploring. Today, I want to talk about how my mind is a key player in my physical healing and transformation. And I know the mind, we all know the mind is powerful and the mind can do lots of things. I believe for myself, I have yet to understand the full power of the mind's interaction with matter, with energy. Let me say it again. The mind, I do not believe I even have an inkling yet of the power of the mind's interaction with energy that then becomes matter. But at the same time, I have crafted an incredible ability to identify the energy of matter, and in so doing, allow the wisdom of my mind to help me continue my physical healing and transformation. Okay, I'd like to tell you what I mean. So last night I'm meditating, and as I'm feeling the different energies of my body, I come across this strange, I would call it a slice, this long, thin slice, imagine as though a tree trunk has been cut, and you have just this long, thin slice. So I guess a tree trunk has been cut twice so that you have this long, thin slice. And then imagine kind of putting that slice in your body. Well, first imagine you take that wood and you put it under immense pressure and heat for millions of years, and it becomes petrified. So now the wood is petrified. It's a form of stone. And then you take that and you put it in your body. So this is basically what I'm feeling with my mind last night in my body. And I think, oh my gosh, it's like this petrified wood. I have this petrified wood in here. I have this petrified energy that was something else, right? It was a tree, now it's a stone. Like, kind of what happened there? And the one word came quickly, and it was hate. Hate. So I realized in that moment I could feel, I didn't have to realize with my mind, I felt with my mind and knew with my body I had this like disc of petrified hate within me. So why is that interesting? It's not necessary. What I'm talking about here is not necessary on any kind of journey, but it is something that I've begun to notice, and I find it fascinating. So in that moment, I kind of sat there and I thought, okay, I can feel this disc, this petrified wood, this petrified hate that happens to be in a sort of a disc shape. I can feel this energy in me, and I just relaxed. I didn't even relax. I just very quickly became curious, and I thought, well, what is this? So I thought back on times in my life where I've been in a place of hatred, where I've very deeply hated someone. Usually it's someone, sometimes it's a situation, but deeply hated. And I could just kind of feel the conglomeration of all those moments of hatred into this disc that my body had been very, very intelligently storing for me in crystal form so it didn't spread throughout my whole body. Or maybe I've slowly, over the last many months, maybe I've slowly been condensing my hate into this like kind of one last disc. Because what I begin to find as I go through life is that one hatred is another hatred is another hatred. Obviously, I can say, oh no, my hatred for the rapist has its own whatever. True, and at the end of the day, it's still hate, right? So what I want to point out with this is that your mind can identify energy. And it can identify energy even if it's in a material form. Meaning, as I was scanning the energy of my body, I found the energy that, for me, is synonymous with petrified wood. How do I know this? Well, I hold petrified wood in my mind. So when I hold a piece of petrified wood in my mind, I now know the energy of that, right? When I can identify, yes, that is petrified wood. And then I feel that same energy in my body. Yeah, that's the energy of petrified wood. Obviously, I don't have petrified wood in my body, at least not in a very dense form. Maybe I do have these tiny crystals of hate in my body. We may find that out one day. So we can hold something in our mind, something material or even energetic in our mind, and allow the mind to become comfortable with it, allow it to become uh, companionable, so to speak. Like, okay, yeah, I can hold this material in my mind. I can hold this energy in my mind. Companionable enough with it to know what it is. And then when I come across that energy in other areas, whether that's within my body or other situations or whatnot, then I go, oh yes, I know this energy. This is the energy of blah, right? So the next time I'm in a situation where the energy of like petrified hatred is present, I know I'll be quick to be able to go, oh yeah, I recognize that. I remember finding that in me, and I recognize it's either present in the situation or I do my best not to identify energies of other people. I figure it's none of my business. And also, I'm not them, right? So the way they store their energy could be very different than the way I store mine. And so what I'm identifying in them may be the way I have stored things in me, but it's not the way they're storing things. So I don't know that you can properly identify anyone else. And sometimes not even yourself, but oftentimes you can. So how is this helpful? How is this helpful? Not really, unless you happen to find on your path that you're very curious about energies and you want to understand the energies of material things, the energies of energetic things, um, and it's, again, I said it's totally not necessary, but it has often when it I don't try to do it. I don't sit down and try to identify energies. I pay attention when it just suddenly is appearing. Like I'm sitting here meditating and suddenly it's like, oh hey, this is petrified wood. This is hate. Right? So when it comes up, I go, oh, well let's take a look at that. Like I don't set off to find these, but I have begun to recognize more and more that I can identify these things. And it's not always helpful, but it can be. It can be. And I would say an interesting part for me of this process is my mind. So even though I need my mind to be very open and curious, listening, sort of absorbing the information that's coming in, there is another part of my mind that can become impatient and find the whole thing silly and stupid. And it wants to interfere and say, and it does sometimes, like, this is dumb. Look, just move on. We're not dealing with this, whatever, this disc of petrified wood. Just keep going. We're just meditating. So I do have a part of the mind also that's not interested in that. And I would say sometimes that part is correct, and it is time to just move on. Like this, okay, you've found what you found, and now move on. But other times I say, no, there's more here. I need you to step aside, so to speak, and move on with that. So that's it today. That is just me encouraging you, and this is a strong encouragement, to spend time feeling, closing your eyes and holding material things in your mind. Hold water in your mind. Hold water in your mind. Hold fire, a flame. Hold the earth, the entire earth in your mind. That's a crazy one to try to figure out. And then hold wind, hold breath. That's another. I mean, they all are. And so those, I would say, are some of the most difficult. So you may start with something like a comb. Maybe it's a plastic comb, and then maybe it's a wooden comb. Maybe it's a comb of bone and boar hair. right? And begin to notice how it's not necessarily the comb. It is the comb. Comb has its own energy, but also what it's made of. Right? A plastic comb does not have the same energy as a bone comb or a boar's hair comb or a bristlecone comb. So just becoming familiar with different energies. And I think that's the first part, just interacting and engaging with your environment, becoming familiar, comfortable, companionable with it. I think when you begin to do that naturally, the next step happens. And that next step is you begin identifying certain energies in your body and you go, oh, wow, that's a big water earth mess. Meaning this is a big muddy mess. So there's water there and there's earth there. And okay, and moving on. And then sometimes you may come across an energy and you go, oh, that's the energy of fill in the blank, right? So you begin to hold the energy of contentment in your mind. How is contentment different than safety? How is joy different than happiness? How is peace different than love? There may be overlap in some of these, maybe none, but they are different. The word, the sound, the vibration itself makes it different. And honestly, the way you engage with it makes it what it is. The way you think about it, the way you speak about it, the way you engage, whether that's contentment and safety, joy and happiness, peace and love. The way I speak those words, the way I think about them, the way I engage with them, makes them very unique to me. Same for you. And I would say that's where things become interesting, is when we come together and I say, this is peace. And you say, this is peace. And just in the words themselves, we've already set up different vibrations, along with all the beliefs we have about that word. Again, I come back. I mean, I'm just, as I sit here, my mind just kind of was like a prism kind of blew open in my brain, and it was just colors and fractures of light everywhere, just going, there are so many different energies in this universe, and two, there are so many different ways to combine them. Like, it's kind of absurd that we try to connect with each other because there's so much going on. But we do, and it's good that we do, because we do find those moments where we are intensely attuned with and aligned with others, and it is magic. It is truly magic. So anyway, so this is, if anyone out there has struggled understanding that their mind is indeed, can be can have its useful place in physical healing. Maybe this is an inroad that you haven't noticed before, and it might help you begin breaking down some of the barriers. And here's what's interesting: as you break down the barriers in the body, you break down the barriers in the mind, but you don't need to go about it anyway. It just will happen. So it's like driving a car. You do not need to tell the wheels where to go. You just tell the steering wheel, and the rest happens. So, all right. I hope you have a beautiful day, and take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.